Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This time on the Kindness Project, downloads Valentine's Day, and we have part one of our interview with Hazel Grace from Supporting Opposed Children.
Welcome, my friends, to this edition of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who apparently is making it up as she goes along. It's Charlotte Dames.
And I'm joined by a man who seems to have an obsession with Married at First Sight Australia.
You know what?
It's Chris Dames.
You know what? I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan at all of reality TV. But Married at First Sight Australia is like the gateway drug to reality TV. I was going to say crack cocaine, but I don't know if it is. Married at First Sight Australia is a bit addictive. And you know why I reckon it's addictive? Because it isn't all drama. There's elements of a love story.
There's a lot of drama, though.
There is a lot of drama. And what are you making up as you go along?
Everything at the moment, except my exams, hopefully.
How'd they go? You had some today, didn't you?
I had 2 today, and I've got 2 Wednesday, so that'll be the day before this episode comes out, so it's Monday today.
Is it Monday?
And welcome back to Charlotte reporting on the days of the week again.
I thought it was Thursday.
No,
or was it Tuesday?
It's Monday today, and I had 2 exams today, and I hope they went okay.
When did you get the results?
I've no idea.
Maybe Thursday. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, you've got your exam results.
Oh, maybe if they're listening to it in like a month's time.
Yeah, maybe somebody's listening to it they're in a position where you've done your A-levels, you've got your degree, you've got your masters, you've got your doctorate. Maybe we're going to listen to this in 10 years' time and go, actually, there was nothing to worry about with those exams. You know, maybe. So, to me, actually, a bit of Kindness Project news. We have hit our 70th download. No, 70,000.
Oh, yes, 70! Yeah! Come on!
Pretty excited about it, 70. It's actually 72. No, it's 70.
Oh, no!
We've hit our 70th thousandth download, which is quite impressive. So I've decided that if we hit 100,000, we're having a party. Guess who's paying? You.
No.
That'll be the surprise of the century.
Then the party will just be me and you with 1 bottle of water between the 2 of us.
Well, now, Russell, our esteemed editor Russell, is apparently making a special trip to come and join us for the party. So it'll be me, you and Russell with a bottle of water between us.
Yeah!
Great party. Party time central. We know how to do it. Well, anyway, let's talk about another subject. Why are you checking your phone?
I was getting jokes.
Oh, no, not from the Reader's Digest.
No, I don't actually know what the website is this time, but you know.
Is it a good one?
I have no idea.
Look forward to the joke at the end of the show.
Yes.
Prepare to be underwhelmed. What other subjects have you got to...
Well, like you said, I am grievously unprepared for today's episode. Oh, that's a good word, grievously. I found it on thesaurus.com.
Okay, good stuff. Grievously. Is it eously or grievously?
Grievously.
Okay, well, why did I say grievously? I don't know. Anyway, so, talk to me about what you want to talk about this week.
This week is the 2nd week of February. But you know...
Oh, we're talking dates again. It's almost as bad as the week we talked bridges. What's your favourite bridge? Was the... It's almost as bad as the week where all we did was say Barry and Beryl all week.
I was actually going to talk about the presence of Valentine's Day coming up.
Okay.
But, you know, as rudely
Love is in the air. Everywhere I look.
No, you interrupted me while I was talking.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
I'm actually looking forward to the 15th, not the 14th. Better known as Discounted Chocolate Day.
Cheap Roses Day.
Who wants roses when you can have galaxy bars?
A florist I know actually told me that roses are like £3 a rose at the minute. That is a silly amount of money for one flower, isn't it? you know. But
Roses are expensive.
So what discounted chocolate are you going to be buying on bulk on the 15th
Whatever I
of Feb?
can get my hands on. Whatever I can get my hands
But
on
there's
for
sort of-
less than £10.
Right, well, what is... right, so that is maybe our question of the podcast this
Yeah.
week, because we didn't have a question of the podcast.
No.
But now we have,
Yeah.
because the 15th apparently is unofficially or officially
Unofficially.
discounted chocolate day. I think the question of the podcast has got to be, what's your favourite chocolate? And what would your favourite chocolate be?
I wasn't expecting this question. You haven't given me time to prepare an answer.
See, I'd go, you know what I like? Dime bar. Dime bar I love. I like a Yorkie.
Ooh.
And I don't mind a Bounty. And I don't mind one of those, those little Lindell balls.
Oh, those are brilliant.
Yeah, so they're my favourites. My least favourite, toffee. What? Why are you going on?
Nah, mate. You've just insulted me to the highest
How
degree.
have I insulted you by just saying the word toffee?
Oh,
Toffees are awful.
That's good
There
stuff,
is a reason why they put more toffees in a box of Christmas Quality Street, and they're the only ones left at the end because nobody eats toffees.
I like them, so if you don't want to eat them, just give them to me.
Okay.
Rolos.
Here's a request. Rolos actually are quite nice.
Yeah.
Rolos are a soft enough toffee for me to enjoy. But here's my request, listeners, because there are a few thousand of you now. If you've got any toffees, send them in.
Yay!
Send them in. Tweet Charlotte. She'll work out a PO box address.
Is that going to cost me anything?
Why are you holding your money for more toffees?
Yeah, no, I'm just holding my money. Full stop. At this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. We'll get that arranged. So the question of the podcast today is: can you send Charlotte any toffees? No. What's your favourite chocolate bar or confectionery of choice?
Werther's Originals.
Werther's are good.
Yeah.
You know what? Werther's are an old man. I'm starting to sound like an old man as soon as I said it. Werther's are a bit of an old man sweet, but I like them.
You know my stance on Werther's.
And the challenge I've got is I've just turned into an old man before you.
I wouldn't be surprised if they could hear your back bend.
I might get the jab a bit quicker if I do that. Do you know what I mean? They might come and give me my vaccination. But Werther's, I think that you always keep a secret stash of Werther's somewhere. So where... You're looking at me very guiltily. Where is your secret stash of Werther's at the minute?
In the secret place.
Which is where?
The snack kimono.
The snack kimono? Where's the snack kimono specifically?
Wherever I put it.
And where is it at the moment?
At the moment, it's in my bag of Christmas books.
And where's that?
Wherever I want it to be.
Where is it at the moment?
Wherever I move it to in the next half an hour after we get out.
And where do you intend to move it to in the next half an
I
hour?
haven't decided yet. I'm going with the flow.
So this, my friends, is what you call confectionery interrogation. All right. Let's move on to kindness news.
Yes. Okay.
While we wait for Charlotte to boot her laptop up, what's going on in the world of positivity and kindness? Positivity? I didn't pronounce any of my consonants there. Positivity and kindness this week.
Well. Oh, newly adopted son. That's always fun to see. Okay, here we go. Coal miner plucked woman out of her car moments before it went up in flames. Mercedes Boggs knows she's lucky to be alive.
Now, for a car-related story, Mercedes is a good story name to have, isn't it? Go on then.
Boggs was on her way to work last month when her car hit a patch of ice, flipped to its side and slid down an embankment, coming to rest in a frigid creek.
What's a frigid creek?
I don't know. Ask an ice expert or something. Go to the tundra and see if you can find one of those scientists. Anyway.
After regaining consciousness with cold water running in from the smashed windshield on the frigid creek, Boggs realised she was trapped. That's when a stranger appeared, making his way towards her, and Boggs somehow knew everything was going to be all right. When I saw him, I thought you were doing that bit. When I saw him, I just knew that everything would be fine, she told WVLT News. I wasn't even scared anymore. I just knew that he was going to be my saving grace.
Neither one of them realised how very true that first impression would turn out to be. The Good Samaritan freed Boggs from her mangled vehicle. As he was helping her up the embankment, her car burst into flames. Had he come along half a minute later, Boggs would likely have perished in the ensuing inferno. Kentucky coal miner John Burke was on his way home from working the night shift when he saw someone in serious trouble and stopped to help. After an ambulance crew arrived and took charge, Burke went on his way, but rather than sleeping when he got home, he spent the day wondering if the young woman he'd pulled from the wreckage was going to be okay. Boggs was rushed to the hospital, not even knowing the name of the person who'd saved her life. With no other way to contact him, she put out on Facebook a plea in hopes of finding and thanking the man she now considered her guardian angel. Please share this in hope to help me find the man that saved my life. I owe him deeply. I would just like to speak with him. Without him, this situation would have been much different. Within a few hours, Boggs' post was shared close to 900 times. Burke saw it and messaged her. Boggs said when she spoke with him, Burke downplayed his role in her rescue. He didn't think of himself as a hero, just someone who stopped to help. But Boggs and her family don't agree. Kids look up.
You are a hero. I disagree.
Kids look up to Batman and Superman and all those, unlike those superheroes. That's how I look at John now. He will ever be my hero. He was the person that saved my life.
I love that story. An ordinary man in extraordinary circumstances doing something amazing. So well done, John. And I hope you're doing well, Mercedes. Hope you're feeling a bit better. I think that's all we've got time for on Kindness News this week. We'll move on to the interview. And in this week's interview, we've got Hazel. Now, Hazel runs an amazing charity that does brilliant work in Nepal. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, and this is part one of a two-part interview. Next week is going to be the second part. Let's interview Hazel.
Yes.
Hazel, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No
How you doing?
Chris. I'm doing all right.
Now, before we started, you said you shared your really exciting sounding breakfast with us, which was 2 boiled potatoes. How often does that happen?
It doesn't happen very often, to be fair.
Just today?
Yeah, just today. It was just because I was in a rush to get out to the gym.
I thought that was some sort of Nepalese dish that you...
I wish it had been some Nepalese dish. That would have been great. It would have been much better for me.
Amazing. I've sort of given the game away that we're going to be talking quite a lot about Nepal today.
Let's not talk. Let's pretend it'll not happen.
Yeah. But tell us, before we start doing that, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm now 52 years old. I was born in Newcastle.
Okay.
You can't tell from the accent. But then Mum and Dad moved down to Romford when I was 18 months old.
Okay.
Hence the Essex accent.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18 years old, I moved to the South Coast because I found love on Holiday Romance.
Okay.
And I lived there until about 2011. I moved back up, and that was because my dad was suffering from prostate cancer.
Okay.
And I basically moved home
to help.
And unfortunately, he passed in 2012, and I never moved out, basically. And now my mum has now been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so I'm her main carer. So it kind of worked well.
Okay.
In that respect. So that's how I got full circle back to Romford.
I'm going to regret asking this, but what happened to True Love?
True Love faltered obviously after about 4 years. About 4 years. But I found other true loves down there. And then, you probably are now going to regret asking this one, because in 2009, unfortunately, I did lose the love of my life. He died. And he's part of my whole, part of my whole story.
Yeah.
And, without him and without, unfortunately, losing him, I wouldn't have started the path to get to Nepal.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So in 2010, so he died in May 2009, 27th of May 2009, and then I was
distraught.
I was distraught. I had counselling. I was in a very low place, and I went to our annual company meeting in January 2010, and they announced every year they always announce these crazy ideas of like how we're going to fundraise for the foundation, blah, blah, blah. And this year they decided that they were doing a couple, but they said in 2012, in the company's 20th year, we're going to take 20 people to Everest Base Camp and we're going to raise £500,000 for the foundation.
Okay.
And I was like, I can do that, because every year they say, right, we're going to cycle from London to Paris, we're going to do all these crazy stuff, and I go, oh no, that sounds like too much hard work. This one, I don't know, it just came at the right time. I remember running out.
You needed the distraction,
I needed
probably.
The distraction.
Yeah.
And I also knew I was going to be part of that team. I just knew.
Okay.
I knew on that day that I was going to be part of that team. I didn't even know where Nepal was. Not a clue. Not a clue. And I was a size 18.
Okay.
I was about 3 stone heavier than I am now. Walking up the stairs put me out of breath. So the thought of walking to Everest Base Camp, it wasn't. And everyone I told that night at the party, everyone said, you, really?
Right.
Yeah, of course you are, Hazel.
Right.
But I did. I applied. There was 140 applications, I think, went in. I think about 50 or 60 people went on selection weekends, and 25 of us got as part of the team.
Amazing.
And I was one of them.
So when were you've gone to this weekend, you've gone to this sort of thing, you've applied. How far in the distance was actually the event?
The trek was April 2012.
Okay.
So they started the process in January 2010, and you had to apply
so
for
quite
an
a long
application.
lead time, right?
Because then was it 2010 I had the selection, and then in 2011 we started the proper formal training. So the whole of 2011, basically once a month, the whole team went up to the Lake District.
Yeah.
Once a month for a weekend. Had a few drinks on the Friday night.
Yeah.
Did a walk on the Saturday, and on the Sunday morning we had a little meeting where we got together, shared fundraising ideas and top tips for travelling to Nepal.
And I suppose being part of that community helped, right? Being part of a team.
Yeah, we built a really strong team, and trekking to Everest Base Camp is hard. It is hard.
It's a weird one, because and I've never done it. Maybe I should add it to the list, but
I think you should.
But you assume base camp is at the bottom, but it's not, is it?
It's not.
Where is base camp relative to?
Base camp is at the bottom of your climb if you're climbing Everest.
Right.
However, it's 5,345 metres, I'm pretty sure, and it takes you 10 days to walk there.
Okay.
Because of the altitude.
Gotcha.
And you have to take it slowly. And one of the first Nepali words that I learned was Bistari, which is slowly, and it is my favourite. To this day, still my favourite word. Bistari, Bistari.
And how do you not rush?
Altitude. That's how you not rush. You can't.
You just can't.
The moment that I stepped off the plane at Lukla at 2,800 metres, we just walked up 3 steps, and we were all the whole team was like, oh my God, we've got another 2,000 and 2,500 metres to walk.
It's interesting. I've got a friend who did Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
And that he, as part of his training programme, he had a special mask that restricted the amount of oxygen to sort of reflect the altitude sickness.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you don't think about that sort of stuff.
Because apparently, when you're at base camp, there's the same amount of oxygen in the air, obviously, but the effects of the altitude mean that you're actually taking in 50% less.
Okay.
I think it's something like that, but it's definitely less. Maybe 40%, maybe it's 50% as you go higher up the mountain. But yeah, you know it. You absolutely know. And
as soon as you get off the plane. Yeah.
As soon as you get off the plane. It's taken me a while now to get used to the fact whenever I fly into Kathmandu, I'm higher than anywhere in the UK. Because you're at 1,400 metres, and Ben Nevis is 1,380 or something.
Right.
And I couldn't understand why I was getting out of breath walking up the stairs, because I'm like, well, I'm at Kathmandu. I'm in the capital city. This is quite low.
Yeah, but from an altitude perspective, it's higher than the tallest mountain in the UK.
So I've gone from sea level to 1,400 metres in 16, 17 hours.
Interesting.
And that's what you've got to try and put your head around.
Wouldn't even thought about it that way.
No, I did. It took me 3 years to work that one out.
Yeah.
And that's going regularly.
So 2012.
2012 was when
challenge was set.
Yep.
You end up climbing up to base camp.
Yes.
How'd it go?
It was really hard. So hard. Honestly, I can't tell you. I think every single member of our team got altitude sickness.
Okay.
But every single member of our team fought through, and luckily enough, we'd bonded really, really well, understood how each other worked. And I walked out of Namche Bazaar, which is my favourite place in the whole of Nepal, and I walked along my favourite part of the trail now because I do it so often. And I can remember just being hit by a wall. That's all that I could say.
Yeah.
And I just sat on the side of the trail and I said, pick me up when you come back down. I can't go any further. And I was prepared to sit at 3,400 metres and just not move for 10 days. But, luckily enough, everybody rallied around and said, come on, we'll take your bags, give you some water, give me some anti-sickness pills, give me some altitude sickness pills, and then walked me to the next place where we stopped. And I basically cried. I cried and said I can't do it, but obviously I did, and I carried on going. And the tablets, they kick in, and you just drink lots of water. And every time I go to altitude, it affects me differently.
Okay. Do you still feel the effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it will hit me as soon as I get off a plane at Lukla, and I'll be sick, and it will take me 3 days to walk to Namche. Sometimes I'll get off the plane at Lukla and I'll walk to Namche in a day, in 10 hours. And sometimes I can go up to 4,000 and be fine. Who knows?
Just depends.
Altitude doesn't care. It doesn't care whether you're really fit. Yeah. It doesn't care whether you're a smoker. It doesn't care whether you whatever.
Yeah. The impact on your body is always
and it's different every time.
Okay. So what changed in you when you did that?
I just fell in love with the people. I say to people, because I get asked, why do you keep going back? And I say, the first time you go to Nepal, you go for the mountains. The second time is for the people. Okay. And the third and the fourth and the fifth.
It's for the people.
And it's the people that make you fall. I mean, the mountains and everything is spectacular. It's the most amazing place.
And what is it about Nepal? Is Nepalese a word?
Yes, Nepalese is a word.
Right. What is it about the Nepalese that makes people
they're just so
friendly
and so humble. And I always used to say that these people that have nothing will give you everything. Yeah. You get invited into people's houses all the time. Have a cup of tea. Have some. And the moment that you walk into someone's house or get invited in and they give you a cup of tea, you're not just getting a cup of tea, they're making you a meal. As well. And it's like all of a sudden, I only thought I was going to be here for 10 minutes and you're here 3 hours. Yeah,
so it's that kindness.
And it's just,
they're generosity.
They're totally, and they're generous with their time, just with themselves. That's probably actually it. They're generous with themselves. Yeah. Okay. And they're happy to give.
So 2012 happens. Yep. You go.
I go.
You fall in love with the people. Yep. What happens next?
I didn't quite succeed on my trek because there was 2 parts to Everest Base Camp. We were lucky, we were part of an expedition. One of my friends, Roger, who we'll hear about in a minute, he summited Everest on the 25th of May 2012. And our job was to get him to Everest Base Camp in a sane place of mind. We got the benefit of spending 2 nights at base camp. Most trekkers don't do that. Okay. So our main thing was base camp, but I wanted to go up Kalapatar, which takes you to 5,500, because I wanted this picture of me with Everest behind me, because you can't see Everest from Everest Base Camp. So I really wanted it, but I was too ill. Right. And it was like, right, you can either go up there, come back down and walk to Everest Base Camp, or just walk to Everest Base Camp and chill. And I basically had to make the decision. Base camp was the main thing. Okay. So I wanted to go back. So I went back then a year later. Okay. And I found a trip with World Expeditions where you were giving something back to the community. So I went to a monastery down below Lukla in Solukhumbu, and we built them an incinerator. And there was 5 of us as part of the team, and we got our hands dirty. I was mixing cement, I was chipping stones, and amazing. I loved it. Walked up to Namche with the team. They left me and I waited at Namche for 4 days for the next team to come up, which was an Everest Base Camp team. Okay. And then I went up. And I got my picture in 20.
Oh, cool.
I got my picture in 20. And it's now, if you look on Facebook, on my thing, my cover photo is the picture.
With Everest in the background.
And it's been there. It's been my cover photo since 2013, and it's never going to change because it was just...
Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
It was the
How long
picture
did you spend up there?
Once I got to it took me forever to get up there because I was ill again. But I got up there and I probably spent about 10 minutes up there, bouncing around. My guide
just
was
excited.
My guide was like, where did this energy come from?
And your guide was a Nepalese.
He's Nepalese.
Yeah, okay.
Asim, yeah. So I'm still good friends with Asim because he got me there.
Amazing. So, yeah.
And then Roger, who had summited Everest the year before, had said that he wanted to come out to be there for the anniversary of his summit. And I was like, oh, well, by the time I finished that, you're coming out on this day, I could wait around in Kathmandu for a week and then bimble up with you. But as part of the team of 2012, we raised £703,000 for the foundation of the company we worked for. We wanted some of that money to come back to Nepal.
Yeah.
So Roger and I said, well, let's go.
That's the St James's Place
St James's Place Charitable Foundation.
And that's a pot of money that they then gift out to good causes.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely, I couldn't even tell you. I think it's millions and millions that they've raised. I don't want to quote because I'll be wrong. But yeah, I mean, in that year, 703 was raised just by us. So we wanted some of it back. We wanted to take some of it back to Nepal. And Roger and I just went bimbling around, looking at different projects, and we looked at a couple of schools. We were also shown some power plants, some hydropower things, and said, why don't you invest in this? And we're like, oh. Yeah. But the charitable foundation mainly focuses on children. So we knew that if we wanted to get any of that money and apply for a grant, it would have to be a school or a children. So we did find this one school, and they wanted £300,000, and we were just like,
all right, okay.
Politely walked away, because we also figured that the person that was asking us was quite rich. He had really good connections, and there was lots of good connections, things, and reasons why not to go there.
Yeah.
And then we found, as we walked back up to Everest Base Camp Way, we went and visited the school in the village where most of our climbing Sherpas came from.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Pangbache. It's 4,100 metres, and this school, it broke my heart. I walked in, these kids were working on books that were falling apart, and also they were working in pencil so that they could rub it out, and then next year's
kids
could use it again. And this child, I can remember it so much. I've gone goosebumpy already. He showed me proudly his work, and the books were just falling apart and being held by one string. I actually had to walk out of the classroom because it was just too much for me.
You know what? We take it for granted, don't we?
I know. It's something as simple as a child's book where they're learning.
Yeah.
And he was so proud of this work. And the thing is, the kids don't have to go to school there.
Yeah,
they choose.
Yeah.
And some of them will walk for, especially up in the mountains, they'll walk for like an hour
to get to school every day.
On their own. There's no school run.
Yeah.
And there's no roads for a start, so they have to walk. And they'll skip, and you'll see any trekker on any trail will tell you in the mornings they'll see kids happily skipping along to school, going to school. Namaste, namaste.
Yeah.
What's your name? Practicing their English on you. And they love it, and they know it's a privilege. And
amazing.
Yeah, we decided there and then that was the school we were going to help, and we gave money straight out of our bag then, and said, go buy some new exercise books, because we want these kids to have new exercise
and that's one of the schools you continue to support.
That was the first one, and that was the one that we applied for the grant from the foundation.
Amazing.
And we got it.
And then you started, it just started from there.
Me and Roger got quite drunk that night in a bar in Namche Bazaar, and went, do you know what, why not? Let's just do this ourselves.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
Yeah, because then you can make sure the money's going to causes
Absolutely.
that actually have a decent impact, not a school that's going to spend it on assets they probably don't need.
So we did a book drive, and we took about 4,000 books out to Nepal, kids' books, and took some of them on a yak, or not a yak, there was 5 yaks, up to Pangbache, and that was when our friend Nadine, who had been part of the Everest 2012, she came back with this was in spring 2014, and she went, I knew you two were up to something, but didn't quite realise what you were up to.
Okay.
Can I get involved? So that's how, supporting Nepal's children went from the mad idea of me and Roger a year before, applying for the grant, getting all these books and getting them out to Nepal, and then Nadine making sure we were quite formal and looking after us,
dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and getting registered and stuff like that. But I think it's really interesting, Hazel, because we're lucky enough to interview loads of different people who run charities, and it always starts with that first mad idea. Let's help. Yeah. Let's start by just trying to help, and then just growing
and then
from
it
there.
Snowballs. Snowballs. Yeah. And now I spend 4 months a year out in Nepal, 2 months in the spring, 2 months in the autumn. And one of my jobs, in inverted commas, because obviously don't get paid for it, is going around to remote villages and finding new projects.
Amazing.
So I get to go where trekkers don't go.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Sometimes it would be something as simple as the school just needs a fence, or the kids just need uniform.
Yeah.
And we'll do whatever we can.
And talk to me a little bit about the schools in terms of the amount of kids they look after. Is it hundreds?
It depends.
Is it 30?
It depends. Pangbache now I think has only got about 12 children there, and then there's another school which is actually the school of the village where my porter comes from.
I read that on the website.
I was like, Kami comes everywhere with me. Kami is, I call him Merochora, which is my son, and I can't imagine doing a trip without Kami. So I said, well, your village, is there a school there? Why don't we go? And there's 11 kids there, and the building is a bit tatty, but it's safe, and basically all they needed was uniform. Okay. So I did a mad walk with one of my best friends, and we said, right, all the money that we raise on this walk,
it's going to go towards the uniform.
Luckily enough, Roger and Nadine agreed and said, that's your school uniform for Kunnikop sorted. So we did that.
And then once you sponsor at school, is that then an ongoing obligation to make sure that the school's supplied, or how does it tend to work?
It's difficult because each school is different what we actually do with them. So take for instance Kunnikop. I will probably go back there. Actually, probably this spring I'll be going back there just to see how they're getting on with the uniform. If they need new supplies of it, I'll probably pop over to Rocham, which is another school where we built 8 classrooms, just to see how they're doing, because. One of the things that you said you noticed was that we do provide a hand up, not hand out. That's right, I'm confused with myself now. How we do that is basically whatever we're doing, we ask the community to do some of the work. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not just going to walk into your village and give you £20,000.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is we're going to get our official NGO out in Nepal that we work through, that we have to go through to make it all legitimate and have all the proper accounts, etc. But what we'll do is we'll negotiate with the locals and say, okay, that building is unsafe, we need that demolished. You demolish that. We're not going to pay you. You demolish that, clear all the land, we will then come in and we will build the classrooms for you. Okay. So that will be your donation. Because they can't donate money. And it might well be that someone in the village hasn't got anyone in their house that can donate their time and do the demolishing. So what we'll say to them is, well, on a Monday, can you do dull bat for the builders? Can you make sure they're fed? And that's how.
But then you want an emotional engagement in the project as well, don't you? You want people to say, this is our school,
absolutely,
not a school that somebody's come in and built for us. This is our community school.
We need them to care about it. And that's something that's really crucial with everything we do. When I go and sit down with the school management committee in these villages, with my friend Namgal, who can do all the translation for me, I'll sit there and I'll say, well, the one thing what are you going to do? You want me to do this, what are you going to do? And before any agreement is made, I need to find that out from them. And I need to set the expectations as well.
And is that part of the conversation? Have you ever said no? Have you ever had to say no to a village?
No, not yet. Not yet. We've been really lucky. Some of them projects take a long time because initially, especially when we were starting up, we didn't have the money. We're in a very fortunate position at the moment where we have money in the bank and I have to go and find projects.
So you've got to find people who can help.
Which is such a nice place to be in. Whereas before it's like I find the projects and go, help.
Should we go and raise some more money?
It might take us a couple of years to do this.
Okay, cool. And I know you mentioned that part of the reason you help kids is because of the funding you get from the foundation. Was there any other reason that you felt that helping kids was important?
Well, like I say, one of the things that we looked at initially was like a hydropower plant or something like that, which is great and perfect because, up in the mountains, that's how they get their electricity, along with solar. But that would be a one-off project. There's always going to be kids coming along. We knew the one thing Roger says quite a lot is Nepal is a land of broken promises. People go to these villages, they go trekking, they go, I promise I'll come back.
And they never do.
And we don't want to be that. We don't want to be them. We want to come back. Whereas if we came back and did just like one power plant and then walked away, and it's like, there's always going to be kids. There's always going to be that.
And it's the consistency of commitment, isn't it?
And we want to be there long term.
But you seem like you love it.
I do.
You seem like you wouldn't choose to be anywhere else.
No, I wouldn't. If we talk about Ekdin, which is one day, and one day I will live there. One day I will.
Cool. And tell me a story. Tell me a story about the work you do and the impact it has.
Well, after the earthquake, I was actually there when the earthquake hit in 2015. So obviously I saw firsthand the devastation, and I went straight out to Gorkha. It gets confusing after a while, but I went straight out to Gorkha, which was where the epicenter was, and we found someone that was helping, and they'd set up a really good distribution process, took in loads of food for them, but then helped them. And I was walking over the tops of people's houses. And I remember walking across this house, and there was this little girl. We started talking to the family, and there was this little girl in the corner grappling around in the dirt. And I was thinking, what's she, maybe her toys are in that corner or something. And then I saw the basket next to her. And I saw every now and then a potato coming out of the thing. They were basically looking for the food that they could find in their house. And that really broke me. That there was this little girl. And another lady was carrying a big basket of grass for her goats and things. And she said, come and have tea. We were like, no, where's your house? Oh, that pile over there.
Right.
So that made...
That generosity of spirit's amazing.
Exactly, which is why... That's when they proved everything that I always said about them. And I went to this school. We walked past this building, and all it was a steel structure. And I said, let's go down and have a look, because it looks school-like to me. And I walked down, and it was a school, and it was a steel structure. And then there was a door frame, and the door was locked.
Okay.
And all the walls had fallen inwards, and so there was all their benches and everything, and all their homework and everything was all strewn across and covered in rubble. And this door was locked in this frame. It was a Saturday. it's the one day of the week that the kids don't go to school. And that one picture, it's quite poignant, and I did put it up on my thing, was, thank God it was a Saturday.
Yeah.
Thank God. So from then, obviously, we changed what we were doing, and it was about rebuilding and making these safe environment and safe haven for these children. And through this build and trek trips that we take out, we found this one place just on the outskirts of Kathmandu. All their school buildings had been badly damaged, and we agreed to build them a 6-room classroom. It's like 3-story class building. To make sure that they got somewhere safe. And we took the guys out, and obviously then we got to, as soon as we got to the school, all the kids were putting flower garlands on everybody, just getting involved with us. And the trekkers that came out that had raised funds for this particular school got to meet the kids that they were dealing with. And then we went back when it was finished. And I was sitting in the headmaster's room in his new room. His new office. He said, I took one of the classrooms for myself. We're like, don't worry. He'd built this school up from nothing over 20 odd years. So we kind of let him have one of the classrooms. But he was so proud. And then he started telling me about all the classes that he had started taking now to help the kids to improve his education, to make sure. But then he also told me about the kids not wanting to leave school at the end of the day. And I said, why do they not want to leave school? Usually when we were here, they were charging out. As soon as that bell went, they were charging out. He said, they've told me that they feel really safe in these rooms. And that was everything that I needed to hear. And it's like, these kids who had suffered, had been through the earthquake, had watched their classrooms fall down, had felt them shaking, all of a sudden went, no, I want to stay here. Can I stay here tonight? And sleep
because potentially it was more safe.
They knew that this new building had been built specifically for them to withstand earthquakes.
That's really powerful.
And that was that blew me away. It was like, we're doing the right thing.
So that was really good, wasn't it? Yeah. Shall we get on with the end of the show? But and I know that the end...
It was never really the end, because the end is only the beginning and we missed a bit.
What did we miss?
Tis the end of another podcast!
Now, I normally... I'm normally a bit better prepared, and I haven't got the last week's question of the podcast this week set up. So you need to just fill by singing a song.
Okay. Well, I can't sing, so that's not a good start. I can't sing. I can't rap.
Rap. Go on, rap. Please rap.
I don't have any poetry memorised at the moment. I did, but I don't. There's a difference. I forgot all the poems I did remember, so that's
right. So so that was fitting by listing all the stuff you can't do or shouldn't do. Okay. So the question last week was, what kids' TV show do you remember the most fondly? And the weird thing is, Charlotte, every time we ask something nostalgic, we get loads of comments.
Oh, damn it!
Sorry, we get loads of comments. High-fiving on a podcast. I still don't think it works.
I wasn't going for it, and I realised.
And we got a decent number of
we've got Twitter
responses, both on Twitter and on Facebook. And you know what I am even more pleased about? There's two things that I'm going to talk to. I'll do Twitter at the end, but there's two things that I'm going to talk about that just really, really made me chuckle. So let's do the Facebook ones first. Eve Keith said she loved Bagpuss.
Oh, me too.
Roberta White said the Wooden Tops, and you can guess somebody's age by their response. So how old do you reckon Eve Keith is?
I have no idea.
I reckon she's probably late 30s, early 40s. Roberta White
But
said...
I watched Bagpuss as a kid, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a remake or was it the old
No,
one?
it was the original.
Oh, okay. Roberta White said Wooden Tops, Andy Pandy, Twizzle, Bill and Ben, and Watch with Mother. Steve Dan said Tis Was. Misha Hoskin said Dungeons and Dragons.
That was a TV show?
Louise, Dungeons and Dragons, yeah. There was an amazing Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Louise said Tiswell's Chilton and the Wheelies, and Jamie and the Magic Tot. Amazing. Alison Hagen said...
Why did you sing that remind me of Harry and his bucket full of dinosaurs?
Jamie and his Magic Tot are definitely better than Harry in his bucket full of dinosaurs. Alison Hagen said the Muppets. Everybody loves the Muppets. And Dance Your Cares Away. Worries for another day. And Fraggle Rock. David Forsyth said Blue Peter, essential viewing when I was growing up, very educational. Brian Hill's just put a meme of Mr. T going, "What you doing, sucker?" That was one of my... That's every Saturday afternoon for me, watching the A-Team. Mike Christie said Battle of the Planets. I don't remember Battle of the Planets. Don Kirk said Rent a Ghost. For Dan Atkinson, it was Banana Man.
Banana Man was so good.
Banana Man is good. Trev, there was a thing like in that sort of era, and I think it was Cosgrave Cartoons or something like that. They did Banana Man, Count Duckula. Have you ever seen Count Duckula? They did. I think they made Trapdoor, and they made like all these really Danger Mouse. They also made Danger Mouse. They were really funny. Trev Robinson said Dukes of Hazzard. Caroline Thompson said Terrorhawks, Mork and Mindy, Metal Mickey, and of course the Muppets. Heidi Ball said Willow the Wisp. Sean Atson said Tiswas and Hong Kong Furry. Chris Laney said Andy Pandy. Judith Hitchens said Grange Hill. Why Don't You? And Chilton and the Wheelies. Lucy Patrick said Danger Mouse. Dean Grant said D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers, Hounds, and he put a little gif there just to show the show.
Nightmare!
Nightmare.
Funhouse!
What one you more excited about, Nightmare or Funhouse?
Both. We've seen Nightmare live, and I used to watch Funhouse
You know what? I
reruns.
would, if there was tickets available to Funhouse Live right now, I'd go. Not right now because we're in lockdown, but Nicola Taylor said The Sooty Show and Funhouse. Justin Gaffney said the original Wonder Woman. How I wanted to be that super powerful and running those hills. You're a wonderful Wonder Woman. Nick Ramsden said Rent a Ghost Granger and Take Heart. Johnny Piper said Mr. Ben. And Amanda Smith said I've the Engine. So they were all the answers on Facebook. And
I've the Engine sounds a bit like something I had when I was growing up. Rory the racing car.
Oh yeah, yeah. So let's take a look at the ones we got from Twitter. So Twitter, Barry Harding said Tiswas. Fanny Marshall said Bagpuss. Now, this is where it started to get juicy on Twitter, right? Because Tom Morris, who's a friend of the show, runs a podcast with a guy called Chris Budd and a guy called Dave Blackwell.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, actually, his name's David Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
And David's a writer.
Yeah.
And he's responsible for writing one of my favourite kids' TV shows of all time, Maid Marian and His Merry Men. Have you ever heard that?
No.
It had Tony Robinson from Blackadder in, and it was really, really funny. And yeah, so because Dave is a fellow podcast host, he's come in and went, yeah, good choice, because I wrote that. And he also writes Doctors for the BBC. So yeah, he's not writing Doctor Who yet.
Thunders.
And Dave's choice was
Thunderbirds. It's not as good now.
David Wood said Thunderbirds. Marcus Farnfield said, I used to like Old Bear. I've never heard Old Bear. Rachel Vahey said Chilton and the Wheelies and Danger Mouse.
Button Moon.
Nicola Harley, classic. We're off to Button Moon to follow Mr. Spoon. Lee Robertson said Banana Splits. David McCabe said Jokey Bear, Top Cat, Banana Splits. Kate Shaw said I have the Engine. Now this is where it gets interesting again, because James Dent said Mr. Ben. Ivor Harbour said Pink Panther, but because James Dent mentioned Mr. Ben on Twitter, the real Mr. Ben said, as if by magic I appeared, and he thinks the best TV show from his youth was Mr. Ben. How can his favourite TV show be Mr. Ben?
This is a weird universe where Mr. Ben watches Mr. Ben, who 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 watches Mr. Ben.
Apparently, when Mr. Ben was young, he used to watch a young Mr. Ben. Now, I don't know whether it was his dad or him. Maybe.
Maybe it was just. It wasn't a TV show. He was just looking at a mirror. His parents were like, "This is a TV child. Entertain yourself."
So not only have we had a tweet from the writers of Maid Marian and Their Merry Men, we've also had a tweet from Mr. Ben. So that's all good. Nice. And on that note, that is the end of another show.
Whoa! What do you think you're doing?
Oh no, she wants to do a joke. Quick, end it. Where's the cut button? Go on, do your joke.
Okay, because it's been snowing lately, and by lately I mean for the past 2 days, I decided I was going to give you a cool joke. So why did the girl keep her trumpet out in the snow? She likes playing cool jazz.
This is no joke, is it? Let's be honest. And on that note, my friends, have a lovely day. Hope you enjoy what you're doing, and we'll see you next week on the Kindness Project.
Bye!